you're feeding. We have the other.
The other feeding mechanism is the same, as long as it distributes the ink. So what you're looking for is you're obviously going to have these troughs removed, which you're saying you're already doing. The fabric should be held in place with the heavier clasps. There's heavier ones. I don't know where they put them because we don't do the fabric as often. So we'll put the heavy clasp down. You have to have a lot of tension on the fabric. And then to help out the coupling of the fabric, when you're laying the tape down, for the paper it's a straight tape up. With the fabrics, you have to start at an angle to pull the fabric and all the wrinkles out. So instead of going tape like this, you're going tape outward. Tape outward. Tape outward, but at an angle, because what you're trying to do is move the wrinkles outward. You know, the easiest way to do it would be start in the middle and then outward, do this side and then this side, then move 20 centimeters this side and then this side. And as you're doing it, extending the fabric. The most important part of when you're printing direct to fabric is that the fabric is as flat as possible, or else, and there's no looseness. It has to be nice and tight. You're going to have this space here, touch your fabric. If you have any looseness, it's going to ruin the whole process.
Right.
So make sure that the fans are on for the back drying. Make sure that the post heater is on for the drying.
And you were saying about the tissue, you were...
Oh yeah, well we don't have one here, but right now to set up, but we put two car jacks with a pole in the middle, and that pole is holding up a piece of tissue paper, you know, in this case a 3-meter one. So as the fabric is rolling itself up on the take-up unit, we inject the tissue paper and it continues to roll itself with tissue paper, so that way you don't get any cross-contamination.
Right, okay.
We only do that very, very rarely. You shouldn't have to do that.
Right.
Like, if the printer is profiled correctly, you can print direct all day without any cross-contamination, without that tissue paper.
And the profiling you have from Sensient?
The profile is done by Sensient.
By Sensient.
Yeah,
so
for all the fabrics, for the paper, because we have two different versions of 10-foot paper. We have 150 gram, and we have the 72 gram for high speed. So they do all of them.
Okay, and you were talking about that other stuff that just stick.
Oh, the tack paper.
Tack paper,
If your fabric is shrinking and it's moving, the alternative option is that they have a paper with a tacky substance. So once you put the fabric in and the paper into the Monty, the tack substance activates and it holds on to the fabric so it won't move. And that's probably the primary paper they use in like sports apparel, because they're all, you know, knit and they shrink and they've got lycra or spandex properties to them, so they'll move. So if you get that tacky paper, it will solve your issue too, but you shouldn't have to. I mean, you know, you can either pre-shrink your fabric, or once the profile is done correctly, that shrinkage shouldn't affect you anymore.
Right.
We've been running 4 different types of stretch fabric without a problem. I mean, for years.
Right.
Years.
And with doing the transfer, so if we go through the transfer as well, we have...
If it goes to the paper with the paper instead of the direct,
yeah,
you'll have these on here. Yep. These usually don't activate. It depends. I usually, if I'm going to paper, I usually don't have to activate the heaters because they put it at a low enough setting where the ink isn't like really, really heavy. I hardly get any cockling whatsoever. There's nothing to do. It's so much simpler with the paper, and it just takes up and it doesn't cross-contaminate. But again, your profile is the basis of the whole thing. Okay. If you're laying down too much ink, you're going to start to see cockling. If you see cockling on heavy paper, you're wasting ink. You're already trying to save money on ink by getting, you know, a Swiss ink like we do. But at the same time, if you're just laying down a ton of ink, that's not going to solve your problem. Your ink, look at this. If it looks like it's ghost, like there's almost no ink on it whatsoever, and it pops and it activates. So you shouldn't have a lot of ink. There's no cockling on here. There's nothing. I mean, here, because I left it overnight, and that's the corner, and that's fine. Well, you know, leaving a paper there without movement, but the inks should look dead, should look muted, like this. Then they pop, and the calendar does everything else. If you're just laying down a ton of ink, that's not your solution.
And you use the Monty as well, don't you?
We use the largest one, yeah. You want to go see it?
Yeah, because we have a Monty as well.
Yeah.
So when you do the testing, you're suggesting that we run the whole thing through, right?
Well, I would say, you know, if they're saying that it's shrinking on them, it's because they're not, the Monty works by tension. both the fabric and the paper have to be held by some kind of tension. So, you know, they'll put the chucks in on the fabric to give it tension, and they'll put the chucks here to give the paper tension. It won't shrink or move on him if he has tension on both the paper and the fabric when he's sublimating it. Of course, it uses a lot because if you come up here, you've got to introduce it, and then it's about, you know, another third of a meter to go inside. So you're wasting a lot to feed, but it might be like a meter. You know, it's not a huge waste. And then once the machine has it, and you feel that the paper is really, really tight when it's in there, then you introduce the fabric, make sure it's really, really tight, and then there's no way for it to shrink because it's got tension.
Right.
If you're doing it loose, yes, that's a fast way to do it if you don't need a result. You just want to see a color. So our designers send these crops. See, they don't have enough to roll. The crops are really small, so they're not going to roll this. But I don't care if it shrinks because I just need to see the color. I mean, there's going to be ghosting, maybe the letters, but I just want to see if the black is rich, if the bronze is bronze. That's it. So I know and accept that there's going to be ghosting because there's no tension. But I don't care about that. I just want to see the color right now. When you're doing your profiling, definitely tension them, put them on the core, on the cardboard core, and give it tension and make sure that way it won't shrink on you. Yeah, the clamshell should have worked, but I don't know. It's not a realistic. You should start with what you're going to be doing. If your clamshell is a little bit more calibrated than your Monty is, whatever color he approved on the clamshell might not reproduce on the Monty. Your dwell times on your Monty are longer. I mean, I don't know how long he's holding down the clamshell. So what you want to do, for example, to test the duration or the dwell time is, here is your drum on your Monty spinning. So if you can get a piece of tape on there and a stopwatch and wait till that tape comes back and make sure it's at the speed that you're normally sublimating at, you clock it. So that's your dwell time. When it's finally come back, you're like, oh, 45 seconds. That's how long for my piece of tape to come back. It took. So 45 seconds. And I look at the temperature, I say 204 degrees. So I make sure that my clamshell is at 204 degrees, and I make sure that the dwell time is the exact same time it takes the Monty to sublimate it. So, you know, you've got to match, I guess, your environment. But I would, all of our color testing, we have clamshells, but all of our color testing is done here. We just have to. It's,
right.
You know, it just doesn't make sense.
All right.
I don't know, I hope that helped.
Yeah, will do. Thank you very much. Yeah. Thanks.